Rich Tyson here. Hey, one of the most important issues that I find myself discussing with CEOs in the last few months has been attracting and retaining great talent in a really full employment economy. And that situation is somewhat exacerbated by the difference in our generations. Those of us who are older have different values than those who are younger. This isn't unusual, and that's not to make a statement as to negativity about one being better than the other, but just to acknowledge that it is what it is. So I'd like to address that with you today. Lack of employee engagement continues to be one of the most vexing problems facing business today. Studies show that on average, only 3 out of 10 employees are fully engaged, 5 are semi-engaged, and 2 are totally disengaged. Regardless of where your company is relative to these averages, anything less than everyone at full engagement has a huge impact on productivity and profitability. One of the most significant contributors to the engagement problem is the differing expectations of employers and employees. Many observers suggest that these differences have become more pronounced in the last decade or so. As millennials, those who are born between, say, 1977 and 1995, and Gen Z, which is generally defined as born after 1995, as they have become a significant part of the workforce, things have changed. Most of us who are baby boomers, those who were born between 1946 and 1964, and Gen Xers, born between 65 and 76, we grew up with the expectation that we would get education and experience that would ultimately provide us with a career and job security. We sought the right job with the right company, with an eye to long-term commitment and loyalty to that company in return for a long-term commitment and loyalty from that company. This was an idyllic vision that sometimes, and even often, failed to materialize, but it was the prevailing model for most. Businesses led by boomers and Gen Xers largely followed a command and control approach to leadership. Management generally employed a hierarchical pattern that favored not only competence, but tenure and unquestioning loyalty. Employees were deemed to be a necessary component for business success in the same regard as facilities, equipment, and machinery, often referred to as human capital. Owners, CEOs, and other highly placed leaders were implicitly granted higher status and were generally deemed to have more of the answers and brilliance required to bring about business success than those employees who were newer or didn't occupy important jobs. While some boomers and Gen X leaders resisted these notions, we were all influenced by them to a greater or lesser degree. And business management today still has some strong artifacts as a function of our expectations of our generations. Contrast those with the expectations of millennials and Gen Zers. As they enter the workforce, instead of job security, they seek flexible employability. Most do not view their careers as one-stop shopping. They value multiple and varied experiences that will enhance their value not only as employees, but in the broader context of their lives. As a result, their commitment to a given job or company is often short-term. This may be extended, however, if they feel that their work is meaningful and appreciated. While they generally respect authority, they often bring new perspectives to their work. They want to be heard, acknowledged, and recognized. Because long-term loyalty is not a deep value, if they don't feel that they are important to an organization, they tend to be quite mobile. They vote with their feet. These generational differences pose a critical question for today's business leaders. What should be the prevailing mindset to attract and retain millennials and Gen Zers? The general answer is that we must move from command and control to coach and empower. 6 key principles should be top of mind in making this shift. 1, understand that your most important customer is your employee. If you desire to create happy customers who buy from you over and over again, Start by making sure your employees are happy and want to come to work. Second, lose the notion of human capital. As noted, HR expert Marilyn Schenck has said, "People are not property. The term human capital is inherently dehumanizing." Third, focus your attention more on outcomes than actions. While we recognize that certain actions drive outcomes, millennials and Gen Zers are generally less driven by standard practices. Desired outcomes may not be negotiable, but more latitude should be given as to how we achieve those outcomes. This is where empowerment and innovation can come alive. Fourth, question before answering. Rather than providing younger employees with your answers and expertise, encourage their own powers of observation and discovery by asking questions that will help them learn and grow. This isn't always possible, but it can create a more engaging environment that is appealing to millennials and Gen Zers. Fifth, encourage them to question you and how you do things. Allow this to lead to innovative ideas and experimentation. Six, become mistake tolerant. Errors of commission, those made in an effort to innovate or improve, should be encouraged, while errors of omission, failing to do one's job, should not. Thank you very much. I hope this is valuable to you today. Again, as we look at the issue of attracting and retaining great people, millennials and Gen Zers are a big part of our future. And so for those of us who are older, those of us who are boomers, we need to adjust our thinking that we might attract them. This doesn't mean we bring in pool tables and foosball and so forth, although some companies do this, but rather we recognize that that's window dressing. What really matters is that these great millennials and Gen Zers have a lot to offer, and we need to create the environment that allows them to do so. Hey, thank you very much. Again, have a great day.